Shedeur Sanders walked across the sideline. He didn't walk away like most did. He didn't pretend not to see. He didn't wait for a coach or a coordinator to say something. No, he walked directly toward Szmyt. And what happened next didn't just break the internet. It cracked open every assumption that's ever been made about Shedeur Sanders. He sat beside the kid, put a hand on his shoulder, said something quiet, private, real. You could see it in Szmyt's face. Whatever it was, it landed.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
It calmed him, centered him. He nodded. And that was it. No fireworks. No speech. Just presence. Just empathy. Just leadership. And the cameras caught it. Oh, they caught every second of it. The clip hit social media faster than the final score. Within hours, it was everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit. Fans weren't talking about the missed field goal anymore. They were talking about Shedeur Sanders. The headline practically wrote itself. Shedeur Sanders goes viral for what he told kicker after game-winning Mississippi. But this wasn't about going viral. This was about showing up. Because here's the thing, Shedeur was supposed to be the flashy one, the brash one, the Deion Sanders legacy kid who rode in with swagger and Instagram followers and questions about whether he was more style than substance. Remember that? Remember the draft talk? All those anonymous scouts who whispered that he was immature, too confident, not the kind of guy who can lead a franchise. Well, look at him now. Because leadership isn't about barking on the sideline. It's not about yelling at your teammates or pointing fingers or hyping yourself up on podcasts. It's about what you do in the moments nobody else wants to touch. And Shedeur touched it. He went right into that awkward, heartbreaking space where failure lives, where teammates usually scatter, where PR reps hope the cameras cut away, where young kickers break under the weight of silence. And he brought humanity into it. That's the thing that makes this moment so profound. It wasn't calculated. It wasn't staged. It wasn't PR polished. It was real. It was a quarterback being a teammate. And in that single act, Shedeur Sanders redefined his narrative. Let's not forget, he's not even the starting quarterback. He didn't take a single snap in that game. And yet, when the dust settled, he was the leader everyone was talking about. He was the one the team looked toward. He was the one the fans rallied around. That's power. That's character. That's the stuff franchise QBs are made of. And you better believe this moment didn't just resonate with fans. It hit home in the locker room. Reports started trickling out after the game. Anonymous quotes, side comments from players, little acknowledgments. Guys saying things like, he didn't have to do that. But he did. That's why I respect him. That kid's a real one. Veterans, rookies, defense, special teams. Everyone saw it. Everyone felt it. Because in the NFL, where egos are huge and pressure is insane and nobody wants to look weak, that kind of vulnerability, that kind of support, it's rare. And when it shows up, especially from a quarterback, you don't forget it. You follow it. And this, right here, is why Shedeur Sanders may have just taken the unofficial crown as QB1. Even if the depth chart hasn't caught up yet. Because being QB1 isn't just about throwing touchdowns. It's about taking ownership of the locker room, even when the game isn't yours. And make no mistake, this moment wasn't just viral, it was transformational. The narrative around Shedeur has been shaky since the draft. For every highlight and stat, there were whispers about his leadership, about his ability to handle pressure, about whether he was Deion's son, or an actual field general. But leadership isn't proved on draft night. It's proved in moments like this, when it's 17-16, the game's gone, and your teammate is crumbling in real time. And you walk over and lift him back up. That's a leader. That's a man who gets it. And that's a player who, sooner rather than later, is going to be the face of a franchise. So let's talk about what this means for the Browns. Because now the conversation isn't just about when will Shedeur start. It's why isn't he starting already? Because if he's showing this kind of leadership from the bench, imagine what he could do in the huddle. Imagine what kind of accountability he brings to the offense. Imagine what kind of confidence he instills in his receivers, his linemen, his kicker, who, by the way, is probably ready to run through a brick wall for Shedeur now. The Browns' front office is watching. The coaches are watching. And the fans? They've already made up their minds. You can feel it. You can hear it in the stands. You can see it in the comment sections. The people want Shedeur, not just because of the throws he can make or the stats he might rack up, but because of who he is when it counts. That kicker may have missed the game-winning field goal, but Shedeur, he hit the game-winning moment. And moments like that, they live forever. Years from now, when Shedeur is starting in the NFL, maybe with the Browns, maybe somewhere else, they'll look back at this moment and say, that's when everything changed. That's when the fans stopped wondering and started believing. That's when the team stopped seeing him as the future and started treating him as the present. That's when the narrative flipped. From questionable leader to culture setter. From Deion's son to Shedeur Sanders, the man, the leader, the quarterback. And that's why this story matters. Because it's not just about football. It's about character, about empathy, about showing up when others don't. And in today's league, where brand often outweighs behavior and post-game outfits get more attention than post-game actions, authenticity cuts through like a blade. Shedeur didn't chase a moment. The moment chased him. And he met it with grace. So what's next? Will the Browns finally wake up? Will they realize they have a franchise leader sitting right in front of them? Or will they keep pushing him down the depth chart while the locker room rises up behind him? The pressure's not just on Szmyt anymore. It's on them. Because Shedeur Sanders has already proven he's ready. Not just with his play, but with his presence. And now the world is watching. The Browns can either make the right call, or they can watch him become a star somewhere else. But no matter what they do, this moment won't be forgotten. Because leadership isn't about when you're in the spotlight. It's about what you do when someone else is in the fire. And Shedeur? He stepped into the flames and came out glowing. So what do you think? Did this sideline moment prove Shedeur is already the true leader in Cleveland? Should the Browns move him up now, before someone else does? Drop your take in the comments. And hey, subscribe if you want to be here for the rise. Because something tells me, this is only the beginning. Just a quiet moment in a storm of disappointment, where he showed exactly what kind of man and what kind of quarterback he really is. And now, the Browns are on the clock. Because the world saw it. The team saw it. And now, they have to respond. You can't unsee that moment. You can't walk it back. You can't pretend it was just a nice gesture. It was a defining moment. Let's be honest. When Andre Szmyt missed that kick, the story should have been about another heartbreak for Cleveland. A near win slipping through the cracks again. A rookie kicker under pressure. A team crumbling in the final seconds. A fan base once again dragged through emotional glass. But instead, Shedeur Sanders became the story. The camera caught it all. The missed kick, the silence, the disappointment, and then him. Walking through the tension. No hesitation. Just purpose. Like he was built for that moment. He didn't look around to see if anyone else would go first. He didn't wait for someone to tell him what to do. He moved on instinct. That's the stuff that doesn't show up in scouting reports. You can't measure it in a combine. It doesn't come from hours of film review or coach speak pressers. That's natural leadership. Raw, unfiltered, real. And the ripple effect? Immediate. Veterans who were still on the fence about the rookie? Convinced. Teammates who were loyal to the starter but frustrated with the direction of the team? Quietly shifting their energy toward Shedeur. The coaching staff? Watching the tape back, realizing this kid just took control of the locker room without ever raising his voice. And the fans? Oh, the fans are all the way in. Go check the replies. Go scroll through the comment sections. The conversation has changed. No more maybe next year. No more he needs to wait his turn. Now it's, start him. Now. This is the moment. Because this is what happens when someone steps into the void and brings something no one else has: genuine composure under pressure. The irony? All the pre-draft noise, the doubts, the narratives, the armchair psychoanalysis about his character, his maturity, his ability to lead. It's laughable now. Too confident. Too much of a brand. Too close to his dad's shadow. Yeah? Well, guess what? That same confidence is why he walked over to a devastated teammate when everyone else kept their distance. That same brand awareness is why millions of people, NFL fans, college athletes, even other players, saw the clip and said, that's what a QB should be. That same connection to Dion? It didn't make him arrogant. It made him prepared. Because when you grow up around prime time, you don't just learn how to handle a spotlight. You learn how to be the light in someone else's darkest moment. And that's exactly what Shedeur did for Szmyt. Let's pause here and give the kicker some credit, too. That moment could have broken him. A rookie in one of his first big moments, feeling the weight of the team's hopes on his shoulders. And he missed. That's the kind of moment that eats players alive. But Shedeur gave him a lifeline, a moment of connection that said, we're still with you. You're not alone. That's leadership. Full stop. It's the kind of leadership that can't be ignored. Which brings us back to the Browns. Because now, they're in a very awkward spot. You've got Joe Flacco, aging inconsistent, and let's be real, not inspiring anyone. You got a team that's fighting like hell every week, especially the defense, only to get let down when it matters most. And now you've got a rookie quarterback with the locker room in the palm of his hand. What are you waiting for? Seriously, what more do you need? Because this isn't about being NFL ready anymore. This isn't about how many reps he's had in preseason. This isn't about playing it safe and letting the vet manage the game. This is about who the team believes in. And make no mistake, they believe in Shedeur Sanders. You think they haven't seen the way he handles himself in practice? You think they haven't noticed how guys gravitate toward him, how they listen when he talks, how he's not just going through the motions? He's setting the tone, because they have. And now the public knows it too. That's what going viral does. It forces the issue. It puts pressure on the staff. It puts questions in the media's mouths. It turns every future press conference into a minefield. How's Shedeur progressing? Do you think it's time for a change? Is he ready to lead? And there's only so long you can hide behind coach speak before the obvious answer becomes unavoidable. Yes, he's ready. He's more than ready. Because it's not just about what he can do on the field. It's about how he handles the off-field moments, the losses, the heat, the weight, all of it. He's been under pressure his whole life, and now he's thriving in it. You really want to bench that? You really want to let him walk in a couple years because you were too scared to take a shot? Because let's be clear, if the Browns don't recognize what they have in Shedeur right now, someone else will. There are 31 other teams in this league, and many of them are starving for a quarterback who can throw and lead. You give this guy the keys, and he's not just going to drive the car, he's going to rebuild the engine, repaint it, install a turbo, and take it to the playoffs with a full tank of charisma. And if you're still doubting it, play the clip again. Watch the way he moves. Watch the body language. Watch Szmyt's face. That's not just a guy doing the right thing. That's a quarterback redefining what it means to be the guy. And don't be surprised if that moment is looked back on years from now as the beginning, the spark, the first domino in a career that reshaped a franchise. Not because of stats, but because of character. Because this is the blueprint now. This is what the next generation of quarterbacks should be watching on loop. Not just how to throw, but how to show up when it counts. So now the ball is in Cleveland's court. You can ride the Flacco train until it derails. Or you can lean into the moment. Trust what the locker room is already feeling. Trust what the world just saw. Trust the guy who didn't have to say anything, but said everything with one small act of leadership. Because sometimes, you don't need a highlight reel. You just need to sit down next to your teammate when nobody else will, and say, I've got you. Shedeur Sanders did that. Now it's time for the Browns to say it to him. We've got you. Because if they don't, someone else will. And when Shedeur becomes the face of a franchise, not just because of his arm, but because of who he is, the Browns will be left explaining why they waited. Again, don't make it a tragedy, Cleveland. Make it a turning point. Give him the ball. Give him the team. Give him the moment he's already earned. Because leadership like this, it doesn't wait. It leads. Let's keep the momentum going. Because if we're being honest, the Browns can't afford to stall anymore. Not after what the whole world just witnessed. That moment with Shedeur Sanders and Andreas Szmyt, that wasn't just a touching sideline scene. That was a cultural shift, wrapped up in a 15-second clip. It was the kind of unscripted human moment that reveals everything you need to know about who the real leader is, even when the box score says otherwise. And if you're in that Browns front office, if you're Coach Stefanski watching that replay on Monday morning, how do you sit with that? How do you justify putting someone else under center when the rookie backup just demonstrated, in real time, what being the heart of the team actually looks like? Because, let's be brutally honest, Shedeur didn't console that kicker for the cameras. He didn't do it for clout. He did it because he understands what this game is really about. Football is pain. It's pressure. It's humiliation, split-second decisions, and constant scrutiny. You can train your arm strength. You can work on your accuracy. You can drill footwork until your cleats fall apart. But you can't fake empathy. You either have that in your locker or you don't. And Shedeur Sanders? He's got it in spades. So now, the Browns are staring down a quarterback dilemma that isn't just about mechanics or stats. It's about identity. It's about who this team wants to be. Do they want to be a franchise stuck in the same old conservative loop, protecting veterans, avoiding risk, always one step behind the future? Or do they want to be a franchise that listens to its locker room, reads the moment, and acts boldly? Because here's the thing most people are too afraid to say out loud. The longer they wait to elevate Shedeur, the more damage they do. To the locker room, to the fan base, to the culture. Because players aren't stupid. They see who shows up on game day. They see who leads by example. And when that guy doesn't start getting rewarded, morale starts to rot. Quietly. At first. Then all at once. Think about what this team has right now. They've got a top-5 defense, led by a monster like Myles Garrett, who can single-handedly change games. They've got young offensive talent itching to shine. Receivers, backs, linemen all ready to rise with a leader who commands respect. And now, they got a quarterback who's already winning the emotional battle, even if the coaching staff is too scared to let him win the game. It's not just a missed opportunity. It's negligence. And let's talk about that fear. Because you know it's there. Shedeur isn't a traditional rookie. He's high-profile. He's polarizing. He's connected to one of the biggest names in football history. Starting him too early? That's a headline risk. A what if he fails? Risk. But you know what else is a risk? Not starting him at all. Because if you wait too long, if you keep handing the ball to someone else, while Shedeur keeps showing you exactly what kind of leader he is, you don't just lose games. You lose him. And there will be no shortage of teams lining up with open arms. Franchises that will trade half their future to get a quarterback with this kind of mental makeup. Coaches who dream of building a locker room around a guy who commands respect without even demanding it. The Browns have been here before. They've drafted talent. They've mishandled potential. They've fumbled the timing, the coaching, the trust. But they don't have to repeat that mistake. They can start the new chapter right now. They can say, "We saw what you did. We saw who you are. We believe in you." And if they do, the energy in that stadium? Electric. The confidence in that locker room? Recharged. The fans in Cleveland, long-suffering, long-doubted, loyal to a fault, will finally feel like something is shifting. Because it's not just about winning. It's about believing again. Believing that the organization finally knows what a real quarterback looks like. Not just in arm strength or completion rate, but in grace under pressure, in brotherhood, in how you treat people when everything is falling apart. And let's be real, no one's talking about Flacco that way. Flacco has had his moment. Several, actually. He's a veteran with a Super Bowl ring. No disrespect. But we all know what he is, at this stage, a stopgap. A placeholder. A guy you bring in when there's nobody else to trust. But now there is. And the trust is already there. That's the key. Shedeur doesn't need to earn the locker room's trust. He already has it. And do you know how rare that is? How many young quarterbacks have to claw their way into the hearts of their teammates, begging for validation one game at a time. Not Shedeur. Not anymore. He earned it not with a perfect pass, but with a perfect moment. And if that isn't the ultimate metaphor for what makes a true leader, I don't know what is. So here's the real question. How much longer are the Browns going to pretend they don't see what's happening? Because at this point, it's not just a question of if Shedeur starts. It's a question of how much more of the season they're willing to waste pretending someone else deserves that role more. He's already taken the emotional lead. He's already united the locker room. He's already won over the fans. All that's left is for the team to hand him the ball. Because Shedeur Sanders is no longer a prospect. He's no longer in development. He's no longer waiting his turn. He's ready. And we all saw why. One moment, one sideline, one missed field goal, one leader who showed up when it mattered most. And when the Browns finally give him his shot, don't call it a debut. Call it what it is. The moment Cleveland stopped surviving and started believing.